onto a citrus grove in Florida. The citrus trees stand tall, each branch bearing clusters of ripe oranges, creating a magnificent and vibrant scene of strength and freshness. You can see the dark green leaves of the trees covering the juicy oranges. When 90% of the grove is covered in orange, along with the aroma filling the air, it's a sign that they are ready to be harvested. Early in the morning, farmers step into the orange grove with enthusiasm and passion. They wear sun protective clothing and carry large baskets to hold the first oranges of the season. Instead of rushing to pick them, the farmers first check each orange to ensure they are ripe and of high quality. Then they gently cut each orange from the tree and arrange them in bags. When the bags are full, farmers pour them into crates, handling them carefully to avoid damaging the fruit. Ladders are valuable tools for citrus harvesters. They use them to reach high up oranges like this. When the bags are full and heavy, they start climbing down slowly. Everything is done meticulously by experienced fruit pickers, as the height and weight of oranges can lead to injuries. Under the scorching sun, farmers work with love for their groves, hoping that each orange will carry the quality and flavor of American soil, providing consumers with wonderful experiences. Farewell to the citrus groves. We now move on to a type of manually harvested crop. These vibrant red apple orchards are a vital part of American agriculture, growing vigorously in states like Washington, New York, Michigan, and the Appalachian regions. The timing of apple harvest depends on the apple variety and the specific climate conditions of each region. Farmers often determine the ripeness of the apples to decide when to harvest. Similar to the citrus harvest, they use ladders to pick apples from tall trees. Farmers start harvesting from one end of the apple orchard and work their way through to the other end. When the apples fill the truck, they transport them to a storage facility for sorting and preservation. Harvesting apples from tall trees is not an easy task, but experienced harvesters manage it well. You can see the careful balance, endurance, and skill that farmers employ. At this farm, farmers work diligently to complete the harvest before it's too late. Each day, they harvest around 15 to 30 bags like these. After filling the bags, farmers gently pour the apples out. They also remove any branches and leaves from the crates. Farmers sort and grade the apples by size and quality right in the orchard. After harvesting, apples are carefully packaged to ensure the fruit remains undamaged. Farmers need to perform each step quickly and accurately to preserve the quality of the apples. Now we say goodbye to the apple orchards and move on to a potato farm in North Dakota. Here, farmers are preparing seed potatoes for planting. While manual planting and harvesting like this still happen on smaller farms, larger scale operations producing hundreds of tons each year require the help of machinery. Giant machines are moving across the vast potato fields of Idaho, known as the Potato State of America. These machines replace human labor from planting seed potatoes to harvesting and transportation, resulting in highly efficient work. The utilization of modern technology in agriculture is a strength of American farmers. Why do I say that? Take a look at this intelligent machine. It is rolling up the potato vines. After separating the potato tubers from the plants, the harvesting machine immediately drops them back onto the field. Everything happens within seconds, and of course, it takes only a short time to harvest the entire field. This is something humans cannot achieve. Moreover, with machinery, harvesting at night like this poses no significant challenge. To get these attractive potato vines on the conveyor like this, farmers need to wake up early and start working. On these enormous machines, they move across the fields with the hope that no potatoes are left in the ground. This truck helps farmers transport the potatoes to storage facilities or processing centers. After returning to the storage, workers will gather the remaining potato vines once more to ensure the potatoes are completely dry and clean. This helps prolong the preservation process. Finally, the potatoes will be transported to processing points and be ready to be brought to the market. Hello, my friends. The footsteps of farmers in Turkey are not only imprinted on the red soil, but also engraved in the stories of millions of tons of agricultural products. Each season is a magical journey, an adventure among the vast fields. In today's video, we will explore how Turkish farmers harvest millions of tons of agricultural products every year. First, we will learn about the journey of tangerines from the time they are on the tree until they are on the production line like this. Tangerine agricultural areas in Turkey are famous not only for their variety, but also for their excellent quality and taste. Turkey's warm climate and rich soil have created favorable conditions for the growth of tangerine trees. Areas like Adana, Mersin, and Hatay are known for their high-quality soil and stable temperatures, which help tangerine trees grow better than other areas. The tangerine cutters set out at 6 a.m. After eating and drinking, they began cutting the first batch of tangerines. With a team of 55 workers, this farm can harvest about 70 tons of tangerines every day. In Ordu, the tangerine harvest has begun. In the district, citrus fruit production is becoming increasingly popular to generate additional income and meet people's needs. Among them, tangerines are more popular in the market because it is juicy, has a thin crust, and has a long shelf life. For high-altitude tangerines, farmers will use ladders to pick them. The basic operation is to hold the whole branch and then pick each fruit in turn like this. In this way, farmers can limit the impact on the remaining tangerine branches and reduce the risk of other tangerines falling during harvest. You see, the harsh sun in the fields does not make it difficult for farmers. They are still diligently harvesting. Everything happened very quickly, but they still try to be as careful as possible, because once a tangerine is strongly impacted, the fruit will quickly be crushed and damaged. In addition, aesthetic issues are also very important. Fruit peels that are too damaged or scratched will not be able to sell at a high price. All farmers strive to bring quality tangerines and sell them at high prices. Goodbye tangerine garden, let's go to the potato field. In a field in Hatay, potatoes are stripped of soil by a tractor and lie on the ground. Next, they are hand-picked by farmers, manually sorted and collected by size. After sorting, the potatoes are stored in sacks for easy transportation. Sacks full of potatoes are neatly loaded onto trucks and brought to domestic and foreign markets. The harvester has finished working. Now it's time for farmers to carry out the final steps. In Akaka district, farmers are working together to help each other harvest crops before winter arrives. Harvesting by hand like this can take a long time, but it helps reduce crop yield loss. Their tools are baskets like this. The woman walks along the beds and picks up each tuber and puts it in the basket. Stronger men were in charge of filling sacks like this with potatoes and carrying them. Around late summer or early fall, farmers will begin entering potato fields to harvest. The best time to harvest is when the potatoes are fully ripe and the skin has hardened. Before that, farmers would leave potatoes in the ground for a few days to ensure they were in a harvestable state. This helps preserve potatoes longer. Similar to citrus, before harvesting apples, farmers must reduce the tree's load. This is very important for apple trees to achieve good yields. At the same time, ensure the speed of flower bud formation that will produce yield next year. Thinning of apple trees will be done from spring to summer, from about April to July to be exact. The purpose of thinning is to remove underdeveloped, damaged, and diseased fruit. At this time, the tree can provide adequate nutrition for the remaining apples to develop optimally. Finally, farmers can harvest healthy fruit of the desired size and quality. Sometimes, choosing apples when thinning can be difficult, because if there are no damaged or diseased apples, farmers are forced to discard healthy, beautiful apples. In addition to thinning by hand, apple growers in Turkey also thin using chemicals to increase productivity and profits. Like all fruit trees, to know exactly when to harvest, farmers will check apple orchards continuously like this. In addition, apple growers also regularly test the sugar content in apples to determine the optimal harvest time. while harvesting citrus fruits can be done in about 2 months. At the same time, keeping ripe fruit on the tree during this time does not adversely affect fruit quality. Unfortunately, apple harvest time is more urgent. Most farmers are forced to harvest in 8 to 12 days to optimize quality. Apple harvesting is done only by hand because apples are easily damaged and bruised. Quality grading will be done by farmers immediately after harvest, because when a spoiled apple produces high levels of ethylene, it can spoil other apples. The yield of an apple tree is often influenced by pollination, fertilization, irrigation, and plant protection methods. Farmers say a well cared for apple tree will produce about 400 to 860 apples per season. After harvesting a full barrel of apples, farmers will load the apples onto the truck. These apples will be transported to the factory for cleaning, sorting, and packaging. The goal is for the final products to ensure freshness and quality to be supplied to regional distributors. Goodbye apple garden, let's go to the watermelon field. According to TÜVİ's 2023 data, last year Turkey produced about 3.46 million tons of watermelons. Among them, Adana ranks first in Turkey with an output of 611,000 tons. In Turkey, 1/4 of watermelons are grown outdoors and 3/4 are grown under cover. Farmers say watermelons will yield higher yields in deep, well-ventilated sandy soils with high water-holding capacity. Adana is the leading province among watermelon-producing provinces and accounts for 22.6% of the country's production. In Adana, watermelons are mainly produced in Karatas and Seyhan districts. Watermelon harvest time ranges from 100 to 120 days depending on the region and type of watermelon. Because in Adana there are many watermelons that ripen earlier, harvesting usually begins at the end of June and lasts until August. To determine if a watermelon is ripe, you can see the skin brighten and the white spots on the fruit turn yellow. Besides, when you hit a watermelon, it will make a loud sound. The watermelons now become lighter and the leaves dry out. Those are all signs that they are ready to be harvested. Watermelons harvested by workers from the fields are loaded onto trucks and sent to many cities. Farmers in Mus, a province located in eastern Turkey, said their province was one of the last provinces in Turkey to harvest watermelons. This is an advantage. Right at a time when watermelons are scarce on the market, there is not much competition. At this time, watermelons in Mus will be harvested and transported to the provinces by truck. Watermelons can only be harvested by hand by cutting the stem. They do not harvest by pulling the stem of the watermelon because this can cause the fruit to crack and make the fruit unmarketable. We can harvest 1 to 2 watermelons per plant. If farmers have many years of experience in good care, each harvest of watermelon plants will yield from 50 to 80 tons per hectare. After being harvested, watermelons are stored at 10 degrees Celsius or packaged and shipped immediately. Now on to Kirikabi, fertile agricultural land and one of Turkey's most important manufacturing centers. This is the first tomato harvest of the year carried out in Kirikabi. About 40% of Turkey's tomato paste is produced here. These tomatoes will be processed in tomato paste factories in the district. Their unique flavor helps them attract consumers both domestically and internationally. The tomato harvest started at the end of July and will continue until the end of September. It marks one of the most important periods of the year for farmers in Tatvan district of Bitlis. Tomato fruit harvest may vary depending on the production region. On average, tomato plants are ready for harvest 7 to 12 weeks after planting, and usually harvesting can begin when 60 to 70% of the tomato plants are ripe. Farmers are harvesting tomatoes in the fields under scorching heat in Kilis, a south-central province of Turkey. The temperature is often 42 to 45 degrees, but farmers still work happily because these ripe tomatoes signal to them that there would be a good harvest. Unlike industrial tomato varieties, tomatoes produced for raw consumption are often harvested by hand. Farmers often harvest these tomato varieties in 1 or 2 batches before the final stage of ripening. This is necessary for tomato varieties that will be transported long distances. At this farm, these farmers start their work at dawn and continue until noon. After that, the tomatoes will be put into boxes and loaded onto trucks to be taken to neighboring consumption areas. Hello, my friends. Did you know that behind the green curtain of fields and orchards lies the effort of farmers who provide food for millions of people? Right now, we will explore the fields of American agriculture, where farmers grow and harvest millions of tons of crops every year. Welcome to California, where celery is grown year-round. The celery fields stretch out like a vibrant green sea, with rows of celery plants standing tall and robust, creating a lively and fresh landscape. Early in the morning, as the sun rises, American farmers start their workday. They wear wide-brimmed hats, button-up shirts, and carry harvesting tools. They begin at one end of the field, and the crew responsible for cutting and packing moves gradually towards the other end. The farmers cut the entire celery plant, including the roots and the top portion. You might notice something interesting. The cutting tool also serves as a measure. It is designed based on standard dimensions so that celery can be packed into nylon bags or plastic crates prepared in advance. Farmers plant celery in careful rows, creating a harmonious and tidy image. The care and dedication of the farmers are evident as they tend to the field step by step, including the harvesting process. Each harvest is not just labor, but also the fruition of their investment in the land. The celery cutting process is swift and precise. Afterward, they load the celery onto a vehicle for processing by packing workers. Here, the celery is rinsed with water to remove any dirt. The harvesting crew works diligently to produce quality crates of celery. It may be time-consuming, but they need to remove damaged celery before it goes into the crates. Another group of workers is responsible for loading these crates onto trucks. Once the trucks are filled with crates, they are transported to a central facility for final processing before being distributed to the market, such as supermarkets or local markets. In the fall harvest season, vineyards spread across the American countryside, creating a captivating and diverse landscape. In the vineyards of Central California, the deep green grape leaves provide an ideal backdrop for these ripe purple grapes that cover the entire vineyard. Farmers are getting ready to harvest the first batch of grapes of the season. From the early days of the growing season, grapevines are carefully tended to. When it's time for harvest, farmers continue to inspect each grape cluster to determine ripeness and quality. You can see that right after cutting the grapes, they remove any damaged ones from the cluster. This process takes time compared to continuous harvesting, but it helps prevent damaged grapes from affecting the others in the cluster. During the packing stage, grapes are sorted once again. They are removing small or discolored grapes. All these steps are done quickly and accurately to ensure that the packed grapes are uniform in size, visually appealing, and fresh. These grape crates are pre-positioned under the vines, and then a vehicle comes to collect them. This way, farmers save time moving back and forth and can focus on harvesting grapes. Compared to some other fruits, grape harvesting is a more technical and delicate process. Additionally,